Hi, I'm Eric from Twisted Throttle. I'm coming to you from our world headquarters in Rhode Island to talk to you about the X-Creen Tour. That's an adjustable windscreen extension from MRA, and we're going to do a little unboxing and a demo installation. So the first thing you have to know is that the X-Creen Tour is the larger of the two screen extension options. There's also an X-Creen Sport. Comes in either clear or smoke. If you're going to bolt that directly onto your windshield, which means you'll have to drill a couple of holes in your original windscreen, then this is all you need. Everything's included in the box. If instead you want to do a clamp-on installation so that it clamps onto the top edge of your original screen, you're going to need to pick up the clamp-on hardware kit, which is sold separately. So first we're going to talk about the bolt-on installation because that's what's in the base kit. So when you get the fabulous box, on the back you're going to see two different installation diagrams. The top diagram shows you how to install the spoiler so that it pivots, but it doesn't have any height adjustment. The bottom section of the diagram shows how to install the windscreen with an extension arm that's about 3 inches long. It allows you to control both the height and the pitch of the windscreen extension. And that's the most popular way that we see people installing that. It gives you the most flexibility. So you open up the box, and it has a fabulous piece of bubble wrap and a little note in several languages that says they've already put some of the hardware onto the base screen. So if you can't find a couple of those bolts, don't get worried, they're already in there. So you've got your instructions. You've got two baggies of hardware. The part numbers are labeled from part number 2 through 13. Part number 1 is the actual spoiler. And you'll notice that you've got the hardware that directly bolts to the spoiler already attached from the factory. You want to torque down those bolts, but they're already there, so don't worry if you can't find them in the hardware kit. Lastly here, we've got a little sticker that you're going to use as your drilling template. That would go onto your original windscreen when you're ready to drill. So we'll get to that in just a moment. This you can toss. This is just an application chart showing all the different bikes in Germany that you can put the part onto. So, first thing, we're going to open the main hardware bag that includes all the parts that you will have to use for attaching the windscreen extension to the mounts that will bolt or clamp onto your bike. Now, this baggie has a little diagram of the contents of it so you can see exactly what to expect. And there's the hardware in here to do two different styles of installation, as I mentioned earlier. These rings are going to be used if you're doing the pivot-only style installation. This dog bone is going to be used if you're using the both the height and the pivot adjustment type of installation. So we'll separate these out. I'll show you how to put all these pieces together. So you've got 4 little mushroom pieces. Those will be what goes into the dog bones or your rings. You've got 2 little ovals and 2 arrows. Those are what lock the screen into place so that it can't pivot while you're riding. And then you've got 2 little cone-looking things that have a couple of holes in them. These are going to be what bolts directly into the piece that mounts on your original windscreen. So, if we are putting these together, you're going to start at the windshield. You notice that on the back of the spoiler, you've got a cone. Well, if you're doing the pivot-only installation, it's pretty quick. What you do is you take this little ring piece and you place it over the cone. It doesn't matter which ring you use, they're both exactly the same. And then you take one of these little mushroom pieces and you slide it into the hole. Now, there's a little well in that mushroom on one side. It's got a flat side on the other. You're going to point that well towards the front end of the spoiler extension. Now, that well will point toward that hole. When you place this little oval piece directly into that hole, it'll lock that ring into place. So I'll show you that this goes into that hole. You just push down to lock it. But I'm not going to finish pushing it in, because once I push it in, I can't take that back. I can't take it out again. So I'm going to show you the dog bone installation. But if you were going to complete the pivot-only installation, you would simply take that ring and bolt it to this, which is going to be connected directly to your windshield. What would you use? You would use the bolts and the nuts that are in this second hardware bag. So that pivot-only installation is a very quick, easy way to go. But we like more adjustability in the US. We like lots of options. So we're going to put these rings aside and we're going to go for maximum adjustability. You're going to use the dog bones for that. Now, the dog bones are completely symmetrical. It doesn't matter which dog bone you use or what orientation. As long as you place that dog bone so that it fits over the cone, you've got it right. So, place that dog bone in, you grab that little mushroom piece and you face the hole towards the front edge of the spoiler. Next, you're going to take this little oval piece and you're going to push that the rest of the way into the mount. Squirrely little sucker. Now, it'll only push in if you've got that oval at a right angle. If you've got it pointed in the other direction, you won't be able to push that little oval in. If you try, you might break something. So, we've got that one side in. I'm going to repeat that on the other side of the screen. So I take the second dog bone, drop it onto the cone, take your second mushroom piece, and push the mushroom piece into the hole so that the hole in the mushroom faces the hole in the front edge of the screen. You're going to take your second oval piece. You're going to drop that in at a right angle, and it's popped right in. So, things are going well. You're almost there. Next, we're going to take these two little cones that have they've got two sets of holes on them. And you're going to grab one cone and stick it in one of the dog bones. Now, next, you're going to grab the mushroom and you're going to slide that in so that the hole in the front face of the mushroom faces a hole in the cone so that you can put this little arrow retention piece into that hole and it'll set itself into the cone. So again, from a different angle, we've got this little conical piece. We're going to place that into the receiving cone in the dog bone. Then we're going to take this mushroom and we're going to slide it into the hole that was in the cone and face the hole in the mushroom towards the receiving hole in the cone. This will go in and lock it all together. Again, these pieces will only slide in if they're perpendicular. If the piece is facing like this lock piece, then you won't be able to push it into the hole without breaking something. Okay. So, now we're at the point where all we'll have to do to finish the installation is simply push these two little hinge pieces onto the receiving hinge, and these pieces are going to get bolted onto your original windscreen. So we're going to put this assembly aside for a moment because we're now going to have to drill holes in your original windscreen to get it bolted on. If you're going to do the clamp-on installation, don't go any further in this bolt-on installation. No holes will be required. We're going to finish up this bolt-on to give you a full example.